Into the unknown, everyone. It's Deep Dive Zone, the Sonic review series for fans of all shapes and sizes. I'm your host, Devin, joined as always by Lauren and Bruce. And guys, last week was a big sort of event story, but it left the lasting effect of Sonic is not on Earth anymore.
No, he's in a different galaxy.
Yeah, he has been launched off into space, and we have got the 4-issue long. This is the start of them doing 4-issue long arcs, but the 4-issue arc Tossed in Space.
Yeah, this is interesting. Like I thought getting rid of Eggman for a while was a shake up. Like the second time, not the first time.
Sure, yeah.
That was a whole different thing. But just getting rid of the entire main cast except Sonic, that's another thing entirely.
That is a really interesting shakeup.
I think that the nice thing is that, we're going to cover this whole arc today, obviously, and I think that's exactly as long as it needed to be, because it's not going to be like the first Robotnik's death where he's gone for like 2 years or whatever.
No, I think the 4 issues is that's a good length for an arc like this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're starting here with Sonic number 126, featuring the return of Supersonic, which is a weird thing to put on a cover that has Supersonic separate from normal Sonic.
Well, that's just an artistic thing, I'm sure.
Obviously, it's just an artistic thing.
Yeah, that's why he has different shoes too.
That's just a mistake, actually.
Yeah, that was weird. They decided to give him the soap shoes.
I think
that's not the way it is in the issue.
No, it isn't. That's a good point. Yeah, I think Spazion just wanted to give him cool
mistake.
shoes.
Although whether it's a mistake on the part of the interior artist or the cover artist, who knows? But the weird thing is that they're like, oh, the return of Supersonic. They're talking like it's been missed. I haven't missed Supersonic.
Yeah, to be honest,
when it shows up, I'm like, oh, that's cool. And when he's not around, I don't think about him.
The one mistake these comics never made was overusing Supersonic.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's very true.
And we've got another nice bit of Axer art here. Unfortunately, a bunch of it is covered up by giant text boxes.
I've noticed them before, and they're always really annoying because they're covering up really cool art.
Uncolored version of this is unblocked, but I'll show that on the screen. But
I'll take an uncolored version. That's fine.
Yeah, and Axer is not like Spazion, where I think if his art is in black and white, you can still probably read it pretty easily.
Right. Yeah, no, we've talked about Spazion's art being a little incomprehensible in black and white.
But we do have a story here, and this is Red Chaos. And also Hog and Super Hog, which is the other half of the story. I don't know why they set them into 2 different names.
That is interesting.
Benny Lee, which is to say Carl Ballers, and Stephen Butler. Sonic awakens on the alien world of Thoraxia, and is shocked by its many wonders, from giant insects to crimson chaos emeralds.
Okay, the name Thoraxia is really stupid when the planet's primary species are ants.
Mm-hmm.
Do ants not have a thorax?
No, they do, but that's like us calling our planet Gluteus.
That would be that's like an Adult Swim show where they just name the planet after an ass.
Yeah.
But yes, Sonic is not dead, obviously.
Of course.
He is on Bug World and gets abducted by ants.
Yep.
Yeah.
He shows up there, they try to talk to him, and he's like, nope, and then he just runs the hell away. Doesn't even know what they're doing.
They're giant ants.
It's a very understandable reaction when you're surrounded by a bunch of strangers.
Well, not just a bunch of strangers. I mean, Devin, imagine you woke up in this situation.
But giant ants are not a thing in... Well, I mean, normal ants are not a thing in real life. But here's the thing. This is Sonic. We already have ants as an established species.
Has Sonic ever met a fire ant?
I guess I don't know how common it is, but we have bees. We have Betty Butterfly. Remember that one?
Oh, yeah.
These ones are just speaking a different language. Sonic is just xenophobic.
Well, these are also full-size. The only full-size bug we've seen, really, is Charmy. Or the bees in general.
I seriously don't get why you're harping on the fact that they're ants. He's just surrounded by a bunch of people that he doesn't know.
Yeah,
unknown intentions. He's playing it cautious.
Yeah, that's actually what's going on.
I don't know. Sonic seems too... whatever. The ironic thing, of course, being he runs away for a second. He's prepared to be a deserter. But some deadly.
Deserter? He has no allegiance to them. What are you talking about?
Yeah,
I
what the
didn't-
fuck are you talking about, Devin?
I just meant he was prepared to run away. God. Right, giant flies attack. That's the thing. They get
I thought they were
interrupted.
wasps,
Maybe they're wasps. I don't know. They got fly faces.
I guess.
So those are dangerous, and Sonic's like, all right, well, maybe I should actually help these guys. Anywho, so after all this, they just activate their magic psychic translation powers to tell them what's going on. So the ants tell him, we have no idea what your planet is or where it is. This is our planet. We're called the Blodex? Blodex?
Oh yeah.
Is
I think
there,
that would be Blodex or Blodex.
is there an etymological, like, source for that? Because it just sounds like they made it up.
They probably did.
Well, because I don't
like
know
a
if that's
Star
like
Trek
an
alien.
ant-related term. Like, I didn't know
I
that a
don't think
Gamergate was a
so.
type of ant until there was an episode of Adventure Time with ants, and I heard that, and I was like, are they talking about Gamergate like the 2014 stupid Twitter bullshit?
Fascinating. I didn't know that either.
But no. And it's funny because they're called the Blodex, but the fly dudes, wasp dudes, whatever they're called, are just called the Bzzz.
I like equal parts hate that and love that.
Yeah. So basically, they say, "Oh, Sonic, you can hitch a ride on a trade ship tomorrow morning," and so Sonic is kind of stuck here right now, but it's okay because statue and red Chaos Emeralds.
Yeah, that
Sure.
was. It's interesting seeing other colored Chaos Emeralds finally.
Yeah, it's funny because you'd think that this would be like the writers setting up like a game thing, and as far as I know, that wasn't Ballers' plan. He just did this.
Oh, really? You mean what this
Oh.
leads to wasn't initially the intention?
As far as I can tell, what this eventually does is something under Flynn that he was either instructed to do or came up with himself.
Interesting. I don't know what you're talking about, but I think
I totally thought this was intentional setup, but
Well,
okay,
yeah, because this
interesting.
seems like an intentional setup. I mean, I thought it was going to be, but like what I thought was going to happen doesn't actually pan out.
In any case, the statue has a bunch of red Chaos Emeralds, and Sonic's like, well, that's cool, and conveniently, the Bzzz attack.
Uh-huh.
For some reason, he says he only needs 6 rather than 7.
Yeah. It's funny. I
What the
didn't
heck?
notice. I didn't notice that in my first reading, but looking at it now, we got our numbers wrong, bud.
I
don't think
it's
maybe
weird
Sonic
that at
didn't
this
count.
point the comics are still making really odd, what I consider pretty obvious mistakes like that.
Well, yeah, that's really weird because they've previously had Sonic using 7.
Yeah, they got that right on the
Mhm.
very first Sonic, Supersonic issue.
Yeah.
And, some of the other appearances, there's just been, like, tons of Rings and Chaos Emeralds, so it doesn't even matter. but
Right.
It is funny, because this is Ballers writing under the Benny Lee name, and one of the things that they had Benny Lee do was give an interview where he said he plays the games, and then you just make one of the most obvious mistakes possible.
That's so weird.
Sonic uses the 6 red Chaos Emeralds, and it's funny what they do here because, the next page, we see Supersonic come and kill the fuck out of those bugs. Like,
Yeah, Jesus, that was brutal.
apparently, no active violence is off the table as long as they're bugs. But yes, the brutality is on purpose in that regard.
Yes.
Because he touches down, and then we sort of zoom out to see that ain't our Sonic.
Okay, so even though you said, "Oh, look, it's the 2 Sonics on the cover," and pointed it out, I didn't expect that it would literally just be Sonic splits between Sonic and Supersonic.
That's an interesting setup.
Well, so here's the thing that really gets me. It's like, hang on, this can't. I mean, maybe it's a coincidence, but Fleetway does this exact same thing. And before,
that's right.
before this, so did they copy Fleetway?
I was wondering about that.
So the writers and artists were definitely aware of Sonic the comic, but the extent to which this is, taking from that, I mean, there's probably not, any sort of like rights issues over that because it's just evil supersonic.
Hmm.
But yeah, I would suspect it's a shout out, but
That
yeah, it
that
is
was that
weird.
was my question was, were the writers aware of it and intentionally referenced it? That's the thing that I'm curious about.
Yes, they were aware of it. This is probably an intentional reference.
That is
Interesting.
awesome.
Okay.
Yeah. And actually, I'm just noticing now, this is why there's two different story names, is that the first part is written by Benny Lee, the second part is Carl Ballers.
Oh
Um,
my god.
What the heck?
that's very, very weird. But anyway, yes, so Supersonic, Red Chaos Emerald Supersonic, is a jerk. He
Hey,
does not.
he- he's just an asshole. Like I expect him to be like a berserker or something. No, he's just a prick.
Yeah, he doesn't care about heroes and all, he just likes wrecking shit.
Right.
Yeah, that's one way of seeing it. But I kind of got in Sonic's head a little bit here, and I'm like, this is actually pretty terrifying. Like, what's he gonna do? I mean, when he starts just beating up Sonic, I'm like, oh, he's kind of screwed, isn't he?
Yeah, Sonic knows the power of Supersonic, so it's like he now has to deal with that.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot that you can do because Supersonic is
Yeah.
basically indestructible. It's just a time limit.
Right.
He even gives him like the Star Wars "there is no good, there is no evil" speech.
Yeah, I don't think there's much to this, but they put a little bit here. Like there you get a tiny glimpse into like this Supersonic's personality. I actually haven't checked, and maybe I shouldn't assume that this concept isn't followed up on. I feel like it wouldn't be, but maybe. Either way, I'm sort of interested at like if we got to see more of this Supersonic, how they would act, because here they kind of are just like crazy with power basically. Yeah, they just want to
Right.
destroy things,
Well,
and
yeah.
and when Sonic is like, don't do that, he's like, why not? Because I can. Like I'm interested in like, I mean, maybe he would just run around and break stuff for a while. But
Right.
eventually, I feel like we might be able to see like what would he do,
I think
in the long term, and
I
it
think it
interests
would be
me.
interesting to see maybe aspects of this Supersonic on the occasional times when Sonic goes super.
This is what I've always thought narratively made sense about Supersonic is that I have not read Sonic the comic yet, obviously, but the fact that they make Supersonic something dangerous and uncontrollable, I wish that were a part of the series just overall, because I think that's more interesting than just I'm a hero and I have power.
Also,
Um,
I think it would be
Mhm.
more interesting for me, keep Sonic's personality the same, but make it so like maybe he can't fully control Supersonic, so it ends
yeah, I
up
mean,
being
don't make him like
dangerous.
this, where he's just like the Joker,
Yeah,
but
just make it so Sonic is basically like he wants to do good with Supersonic, but it's so powerful he struggles to control
gets
Supersonic.
intrusive thoughts, maybe, yeah. Um,
Yeah, that would actually be an interesting way to do it. Show Sonic kind of wrestling with this kind of Supersonic.
Yeah, which is funny because the reboot puts all that on the werehog, but
Mm,
Interesting. Okay.
yeah,
mhm.
um, but let's finishing off this fight. Stupid Sonic is like, I'm gonna destroy these moons.
Which is that something Supersonic can normally do?
Maybe these
Does
these
Sonic just hold back?
these comics are so all over the place.
Right.
It's very possible that the ballers thinks that's reasonable.
I mean, we've already determined the
But
power scaling for these comics is just insane.
But personally, if I had to choose, I would just say the Red Chaos Emeralds have different effects.
That's what I was thinking. That's why they did this and they made Supersonic like this uber powerful deity.
Well, so he like shoots like a death beam, and well, Sonic makes him miss and go between them, but I'm trying to think if Supersonic has ever been portrayed as like shooting laser beams before. I don't think so.
Well, so the only Supersonic I can think of that might be able to do that would be like movie Supersonic. I mean, the live action movies, because they make it very clear Supersonic in that is all powerful.
I guess in Sonic Frontiers, both regular Sonic and Supersonic could do like energy blasts as one of
That's
the moves.
true. That is
Um,
true.
but it's
So
not like this, you know.
no, this is like DBZ level Kamehameha.
He points like it's like Frieza.
Yeah, that's basically a fucking what is it? The death laser.
Yeah. But we end, as Ballers is kind of want to do a lot of times, on a bit of an anticlimax.
He just fades away.
Because, as mentioned, the only weakness Supersonic has is a time limit. And that's true for Evil Supersonic, too.
Which I do want to question this. The time limit, even in this, is supposed to basically be his rings, right?
Yes, I have no idea what rings, how that
Yeah,
works in this.
Sonic just didn't have any rings, so what's going on there, guys?
That wasn't the way it worked in the Mogul fight.
Well, the Mogul fight to me is like a special situation because Mogul was like was basically a walking Chaos Emerald,
Uh, I guess
or
that's
I guess he
true.
was basically the Master Emerald.
Yeah, and I guess in the other Supersonic appearances, it definitely has been a point.
Right. So
Well, the Red Chaos Emeralds work differently again.
they just put him on a regular timer instead of a ring timer, I guess. I don't know.
Alright, you got 5 minutes to destroy whatever you want.
You know
Um,
what? Fair enough.
yeah, I don't know. It's weird because on the one hand, they didn't cheap out and have Sonic just able to beat him. On the
Right.
other hand,
Sonic basically just survives.
just outlasting him is eh.
It's a little
Yeah.
underwhelming, I will
So
agree.
this is 100% underwhelming.
It is. It's a cool concept for a story that's ended mediocre.
Yeah, well, it basically doesn't end. I mean,
It
it's
ends
just
just
like
with Supersonic fading away and Sonic being like, "All right, cool. That was my entire plan."
yeah, there's no conclusion, is what I mean. It's just
Yeah.
is like, okay, story over.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not
Like,
surprised at this point when the comics do that.
yeah, they could have, like,
They
sure,
could
like
have
they
done something
could have
cool.
cheaped out and made it something stupid, like Sonic just, I don't know,
Is able to beat Supersonic.
just able to beat him somehow.
Yeah, that
But
would
they
be
could
the
have also
stupid
come up
thing.
with something clever as well. I mean,
Mm,
I'm not able to think of anything on the spot.
I mean,
But it's
I
not like
mean,
Supersonic is. The thing is, they dialed up his power. If this was
well,
regular Supersonic,
so if they wanted to take something from the
not as
games, they
feasible.
could crush him.
That's
That's
true.
one
That
of
would
the
be
ways.
brutal, but it was a brutal issue already. So
Yeah,
Yeah,
so and that's already one of the few ways you can die as Supersonic.
yeah,
drown him would be better, I would even think.
Drowning him or crushing him. I mean, what they could do with drowning is he just fades away because while he's drowning, so they don't have to just show a version of Sonic actually dying.
Yeah, but I'm thinking like they take the fight underwater and it gets, longer and longer, and Supersonic is like overconfident, but like maybe the ants give
Right.
Sonic some kind of respirator or something.
Yeah, that I mean that would make more sense than being like, all right, yeah, we're just gonna drop a big rock on him.
Either
probably.
way,
Yeah, that would be cool. Actually,
it
that
would,
could work.
if you did that, you could even maybe extend this story for 5 pages so that we don't
Uh,
have to deal with this fucking thing.
I what the fuck is this?
This is Better Red Than Dead, written by Michael Gallagher and drawn by Dave Monach. And you can tell that this is just some shit that they had in the back office, probably.
Shit, they're like, damn, the main story wasn't long enough.
Because this
Yeah.
is a meta universe story. It is sort of like the off panel comics, which we didn't cover because the digital versions don't have them, and they're all basically just jokes about Justin Gabri being boring. I don't know. But this is one of those wherein Sonic and series editor Justin Gabri are attacked by the vengeful spirit of comic book deadlines, which is hilarious because that's probably the only reason this story got printed.
Well, yeah, it's true. I feel like that was intentional.
I mean, probably.
Unfortunately, it means we have to read this. I would rather just have a shorter issue, but obviously, yes, I know they could do that.
Or you know, extending the main story.
And I don't know. I don't know if I have much to say about this because it's the Grim Reaper of comic book deadlines attacking Sonic and the editor.
I mean, we could suddenly go into deep dive into the off panels, but the thing is, we don't care.
Exactly.
But I mean, yeah, this is not our brand of content here. It's just hollow gags. It's just a simple comic strip, really. It's nothing more than that.
Yeah, I mean they do one bit which is where Sonic's art gets less and less finished with time. Which
Which
if they
that's
took
a
that
kind of a funny concept.
as an opportunity to make fun of 113 or Nagas games or something, or the fact that they kept hiring Ron Lim, then I would almost respect it. I still wouldn't respect it because you're still doing it. I
Right.
hate when people say that like saying you're doing a thing means that it's okay to do it. Like no, just make better comics, guys.
Yeah.
Um, but either way, we don't get that. Instead, we just get lame jokes about the Deadline Reaper being upset that all of his terrible story pitches get rejected. And
Ugh.
it's really funny because this is all the exact kinds of shit we'd see in the early comics.
It
A
is.
100%. Like these story pitches, I could see all of them having happened in the
Oh
early
yeah.
comics.
Yeah, Knuckles' dad being Elvis, like we
Sure.
already did the robot Steve Urkel. How far apart is that?
Yeah, it's not that far fetched. And Robotnik dancing while Knothole burns, that's
That's
just
something.
straight up an old comic story. Like he would just do that. He would
Yeah, he
just
would
start
do that.
dancing after
Yeah,
Knothole was catching on
Yeah.
fire.
not only did
Yeah.
that happen, not only is that not even that bad of an idea, it happens again later. So okay, he doesn't dance, but you know what I mean.
Hmm.
Right.
But yeah, that's all very silly. And then Justin Gabri saves the day by shooting a giant list of credits at him. And
It's interesting that he did cover everyone, even
Yeah.
even like Ken, who left in a huff.
yeah, this is right after Ken left. Although that might mean that this was written before that happened, which is probable.
Well, to be fair, I mean, there's people that here that aren't actively working on the comics at this point.
Yeah, well, we have like Scott Fulop and Ken as well. Both people who would later go to court over their contributions to this series. But yeah, like Jay Olivros, Kent Taylor, and Benny Lee, those are all pseudonyms for other people, even though they're
Hmm.
also on here, because Kent Taylor is Scott Fulop. And then you have like Scott Shaw and Angelo DeCesare, Manny Gallant. They haven't been here for years and years.
Right. So, like, eh.
And you can tell exactly how old this is because we do end with a typical "let us know if you want to see more of this" blurb.
Yeah, that was actually kind of surprising. I was like, I haven't seen that message in a long time.
Which terrifies me because we've seen that before and gotten more of that.
That's
Well, listen,
true.
it's it's the same as the last cases where I highly doubt that any kid reading this knew why Sonic was running around with this random bald guy. And well, as an adult, I guess I don't want to know, but I doubt that any of them wrote in about it.
I
Um,
doubt it.
which is to say, they do this again in 21 issues. But
Well, yeah, because
Oh,
when
great.
you say that, it's actually the writers saying we're gonna pretend like you wanted this.
Right.
yeah, we've already done this, and so we're looking to shift the blame.
Uh-huh.
Hey, well, let's move on to greener pastures with Sonic number 127.
Hell yeah.
It's a pretty nondescript cover and
Yeah.
barely relates to the story inside, which isn't super unusual.
I think it relates fairly decently.
I
I
mean,
mean,
kind of. The
he's
fact that
got an
Sonic
escape
is in
pod.
an escape pod,
Yeah.
like that only lasts for like a page or two.
Right, but it's a relatively important part of the story.
I guess so. Whatever.
Yeah, we have our Axer page with Sonic overseeing this species development, like the.
Like the god he is.
Well, I didn't want to say that because that's literally a part of the story, but yeah.
It
Yeah.
is.
Um, which is to say, it's Evo Solution, Carl Ballers, and Ron Lim. Sonic makes an emergency landing on an undeveloped planet, only to realize that time moves at an accelerated rate around his escape pod.
Which is a really weird concept for a planet, but I also think it's cool.
Yeah, this is like
I'll
some.
talk about it when we actually get there in the story. How about that?
You're
Yeah.
right. We do start out on a different ship. I assume this is the
Right.
trade ship we heard about before.
Yes, it is.
Hmm.
They give him a universal translator, so he doesn't need psychic ant powers to do it anymore.
Fair
He
enough.
just shoves it in his ear.
Makes sense.
Should have made it a little fish, get the reference in there. But
Well,
See, yeah, I thought of that anyway. So
Yeah, so these guys, do these aliens have a name?
The Denovulans.
Yeah.
Denovulans. Okay. So they're pointing Sonic to a trade hub where you can hopefully find a ride home. But that's not going to happen because the planet right in front of them just explodes.
Like planets
Oops.
do.
Well, and so this is one
You
of the
know, I just realized. Well, maybe this is what you're about to say. This could be explained perhaps by the next issue. Does that
yes,
make any
this is
sense?
this is
Yes.
part
Yes,
of
it
the
is.
ongoing
Yeah.
plot in Tossed in Space, which is that something is destroying planets. It destroyed that one, and now it's attacking their ship. So everybody rushes to the escape pods, but unfortunately, there is exactly as many escape pods as there are crew members, which means that since Sonic is a hanger-on, somebody has to stay behind.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and here I thought that Sonic was going to be like, "Oh no, you go on without me," and then he would do something stupid to somehow get out of it alive. But no,
Well, to
instead,
be fair, that is what Sonic wanted to do.
Yeah.
well, I know, but I would think that the story would allow him to do that because
I
that's usually
mean,
the way the story does it.
yeah,
It's
maybe
not
they couldn't do
often
it the
that
way.
a random character introduced in this issue that barely knows Sonic, like it's just like, oh no, I will
Well,
lay down my life for you.
well, to be fair, he is the captain, and that's what captains normally go down with the ship anyway.
I guess so. It's just it didn't expect it. That's my point.
Well, and I like the elements of their design that they have scorpion stinger tails, and that's how he gets Sonic to not move so he can shove him in the escape pod.
Yeah.
Good on you, man. Sorry you died.
Captain OE was a real hero.
Yep. So Sonic's escape pod, is launched out. Looks nothing like it does on the cover, but that's nothing new. And he lands on this planet, and apparently it has a toxic atmosphere, which means he is stuck.
Whoopsie daisy.
Yeah, damn.
So he sleeps for a while, and when he wakes up, now the atmosphere is habitable.
Yeah, we're getting to see the evolution
Yeah.
of an entire planet in like fucking super speed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay. Now we can talk about it.
Yeah,
This is some actual sci-fi TV show stuff that you'd see on
it is. Yeah,
an episode of Star Trek.
yeah. In fact,
100%.
I feel like there's an episode of Star Trek that I just don't remember that has a similar plot.
I would not at all be surprised.
There's just so much of it I can't remember.
Yeah, this is great. I like this.
Yeah,
If
this
you're
is a
gonna
really
do an
cool
arc in
concept.
space, get
Get weird.
crazy with it. Get weird. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Um,
I totally agree.
I love this.
It's a really interesting idea. It does, of course, my relatively science minded brain makes me wonder like, oh, how exactly does this work? Why does time pass so fast?
Well, so it's like if you said that the planet has an accelerated time field around it or something, it's like there's a lot of justifications you could make. The
Sure.
harder point is why it doesn't happen to Sonic and his escape pod.
Right. No, I like because I could understand if it was like time passes slower, you could just say, oh, they're near a large star, or the planet is somehow close to relativistic speeds.
Yeah.
But
See, that's not even what I was thinking.
well, that would only be slowing down time, though. I do not know how they could make this. I don't know any kind of explanation that would speed time up.
I didn't think it was actually. See, the characters talk about like, oh, time is fast or whatever, because yeah, for all intents and purposes, that's how it is. But I didn't actually think it was literally time moving differently. I thought that just what have you, the climate, because it's everything. It's the climate, and well, I mean, if it's all, it could start with the way the planet was built, and then life would also adapt to
So you're saying it's stuff that's
the
just
same
naturally
time
very
scale.
fast.
Yeah, naturally, just the weather is just super whack.
Yeah.
And so life also evolves along with that sort of tumultuous environment. And so yeah, it comes off as it's fast, but I always just thought that's just how the planet works.
I guess, yeah.
That's fair. I also like that Sonic, while witnessing this, is like, shoot, I might fuck something up if I mess around here too much. I'm just gonna sleep in the pod for a while.
Mhm.
Yeah, hey, at least Sonic gets the right idea. It's like, shit, I'm watching evolution happen. I might influence this.
Yeah, well, and
Yeah.
last time he got curious, he got punched in the face by himself. So,
That is
um,
true.
unfortunately, he does end up influencing society anyway because sleeping in the pod, primitive civilization becomes less primitive civilization. But Sonic is there for all of it. He's right smack dab in the middle of it all.
Yeah, I like the little sonic spines on the buildings.
That is really
We know
interesting.
exactly what's happening immediately.
Right.
Yeah.
He's to be fair, I don't think he's really a god. I don't think they really view him as a god. They just view him as like just a constant on their planet.
I mean, he's sort of like an idol, I guess.
Yeah, he's
Which I guess is sort
like
of
a protector.
like a symbol of something divine, if not literally God. Yeah. But yes, because we finally learned this because the aliens on this planet evolve enough to eventually invent time slow down technology.
I mean,
Um,
when they realize that travels a lot faster on their planet, of course that's going to be a major piece of technology they would invent.
Also, it is really dawning on me here how much this foreshadows the next issue. But anyway, let's keep going.
yeah, so they let Sonic comes out of the pod. He gets to talk to them. They're called the Azurites, which is funny, I guess.
It's a better alien name than the Bzz.
Yes. Um, And so, yeah, they say, like, oh, you were just a constant over our entire evolution. So, we were so awed by you that we started modeling, but then we realized that you weren't actually just a statue or whatever. So we did all this. And Sonic's like, well, that's cool, but I'm just some guy. And, in anything other than, like, Sonic, you could have a slightly scary story where someone screws up majorly by telling an audience of at least thousands, it looks like here, that
Yeah,
their entire religion was founded on bad information. But they're not that
and
tortured
then
about it.
yeah, no, they're like, oh, okay, and then
Well,
it's like,
here
oh, he's a hedgehog.
the way I interpreted it, because the scientists here recount history
Mm,
in a very like disconnected manner. They're just like, oh, this has happened, and so naturally we saw you this way, and so we thought about it this way. So like they're aware of why they have their perception of him. So I
right.
think they're already like, it's probably not true. Like they're just
Yeah, once
testing
they've
it,
developed to this
basically.
point, they
Yeah.
probably put two and two together that
Yeah, I
Sonic's
mean,
not a god; he's just some dude.
yeah, this is an aspirational alien society. They worked out all their shit. Um,
Right.
Yep.
but it is funny because Sonic's like, well, can you just help me leave? And they're like, yeah, sure. And so they turn the time thing off for a second so that they can build him a ship, which is kind of funny.
While
Um,
Sonic basically stays in the exact same pose.
yeah, they build the ship around him.
Yeah,
Um,
they couldn't have built it somewhere else and then taken Sonic to the ship.
it's fine.
I
And
I guess okay.
his ship is
They
very
wanted to be impressive. They wanted to impress
I
the team. They
guess
wanted
they
to
to,
show
did.
off,
Yeah.
yeah. And the
Yeah.
Fair
ship
enough.
is shaped like his head. It reminds me of like Samus Aran's spaceship.
Kind of. Yeah.
And Sonic just takes off. There's really no conflict here. It's just an interesting little sci-fi concept.
It is, and I can appreciate that.
Yeah, I feel like some of Sonic's adventure here in space is just seeing what's in space. Because
It's
like
seen some cool
there was a
stuff.
little bit where he was just like chilling with the ants too.
A lot
Yeah.
of yeah, some of this has just been Sonic just like experiencing the spaceman lifestyle.
Yeah. So yeah, it's fun. I like it. It's a neat little thing.
Yeah.
And I definitely like it more than our second filler story of this week, which is Agent Sonic versus Agent Knuckles, Gallagher and Monarch, a parody of Mad Magazine's Spy versus Spy comics.
Was Spy versus Spy even relevant in like 2004?
Probably not. I think Mad Magazine's still technically around, right?
Yeah, yeah, you can. I'm pretty sure it is, but like, I don't think they have Spy versus Spy comics anymore.
Well, I know that the
I
original
mean, I guess I
artist
don't know.
died because this story is dedicated to him at the end, isn't he? Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even notice that.
But it's like it's very odd and like I never read Mad Magazine. I know Spy versus Spy better from the Cartoon Network Mad show.
Yeah,
Um,
that's where I know it from also. I mean, sort of. I know a little bit because my dad read Mad Magazine.
Here's the thing. I will agree that it's very clashing with the main story. It's clear that they're just doing what they know how to do here.
Yeah.
But I mean, on its own, okay. First of all, love Spy versus Spy.
I mean, fair,
So
yeah.
I'm a little biased.
oh, I
I
don't
mean, Spy
dislike it at
versus...
all.
Oh, yeah, neither do I. Spy versus Spy is a fun concept.
But so I instantly, this brings a smile to my face. Like, oh, a parody of Spy versus Spy. Okay, this will be fun.
Sure.
And it's better than, like, in my opinion, like the off panel from the last time, because
Oh,
it's
yeah.
trying to
without a doubt.
be like, it's trying way too hard to be like funny, meta, weird.
Yeah, this is just funny.
This is just silly,
Funny.
and
This
That's
is
a
just
slap.
silly
in
violence.
in a good way.
Yeah, this is just
Also,
silly slapstick violence.
also, I can't really speak to it in detail, but I think the art is pretty fun to look at.
Well, I think this kind of janky art fits Spy versus Spy.
Oh yeah, Monarch
Yeah.
was the perfect choice for this.
Yes.
I don't mind his use here at all.
No.
And yeah, certainly I don't really have anything to complain about other than the fact that that they didn't write a second legit story, but it's fine. Yeah, no, it's funny.
Yeah, no, there's no problem with this story. It's just like a little surprising to see.
Yeah,
It's just
I think
that
that's the only problem, really.
it
Yeah.
just illustrates the case of yeah, we didn't have another thing to put here. Maybe it's that when Penders left in 125, they expected him to still be around for these.
Probably.
Not that I
I
know what would be happening,
possibly.
but decent jokes. They womp each other, then the two of them womp Eggman, and then everybody gets womped by Agent Shadow.
Okay, so first of all, like a wax museum. Yeah, that's definitely something that Eggman would make.
Oh yeah.
And then just whack you like this. This is like Sonic and Knuckles fighting as agents. Like, that's absurd. You'd have to have a very convoluted setup for that. But like, yeah, Eggman would straight up make something like this in an evil theme park.
Oh
that
yeah,
he made.
100. Well, I mean, we know Eggman likes the theme parks.
Yeah.
And he looks like he's having a grand old time. So I like him here. But then, yeah, Shadow out of nowhere. What? Why is Shadow's first appearance since proper return in this? Like, what?
Yeah, cute little thing, I guess. It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's move on to the one that both of you guys have been waiting for. It sounds like with
Yeah.
Sonic
Better
number
believe it.
128. He's got a cool spacesuit, and there's big eyes, and the title spoils what is going on here.
Yeah,
This
it's
is-
Eve. Let's go, boys.
Yeah, this is not this. I'll be honest. This is not something I expected to ever be brought up again.
Way back from what, Sonic number 21?
Something like
I
that.
think so. Yeah. This is
It's
deep
cool.
callbacks.
Yeah.
Always get wins
Oh,
in
yeah.
my book.
Oh yeah,
But
the idea of bringing back something that far back and making it something actually like interesting like this—that's a cool idea.
And we our Axer art displays all of the almost completely pointless aliens that show up in this story. Like the big dude is the only one who I think even gets more than one line.
Yeah.
I think the big dude's the only one who
only
actually gets a
named
name.
one, I think, yeah.
Yeah, the others are just kind of there because Axer wanted to do some character designs, I guess. He made a
Fair, I
goblin.
mean,
he
fair
made
enough.
A caked up kobold woman. That dude it looks like a ninja, maybe. I don't know.
No, I mean fair enough wanting to make cool designs, but like
I see no problem with this. Like, there's no reason you can't make background characters flashy.
no.
I
There's
just
no.
wish they did something.
I mean, yeah.
Well,
in fact, I'd
sure.
rather background characters look interesting than just be like nothings.
Yeah. Anywho, so the two stories are one story again. They did that again with quote unquote Starmada written by Benny Lee. Messed it up, and Eve Ill written by Carl Ballers with both Axer and Best. I guess maybe that's why they split it up. Although they didn't have a problem with that before, but Yes, discovering his next planetary destination is nothing but a pile of rubble. Sonic is abducted by space mercenaries, who explain to him that planets have recently been consumed by an old nemesis of his.
Hmm.
Oh boy.
Oh boy, indeed. So first of all, they make the joke that's made a lot, which is not realistic. Sonic is talking about like flying a ship around, and he's like, "Oh, it's a good thing I spent all those sleepless nights on my Sega system." No, it's not how it works. You can't just play
No.
video games and get good at flying a ship.
Yeah, yeah.
My
I
Sega
play.
system, he said. This is after the Dreamcast died at this point, I'm pretty sure.
Yes. Yeah. This is 2004 or five. This is well after the Dreamcast died.
All those sleepless nights on my Sony PlayStation system paid off. No,
No, it would probably be Nintendo GameCube at this point, or Xbox.
well, I mean, Sonic was on the PS2 with Heroes at this point.
It was, but Sega at least with Sonic definitely supported the Xbox. Actually, with Sonic, probably supported the GameCube the most.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's why the PS2 version of the Heroes and Shadow are easily the worst versions of those games.
Right.
They're very crusty.
Which is really weird, being how well the PS2 sold.
Anyway, none of that matters. Sonic gets waved down and brought aboard the ship of the mercenary crew commanded by Bagbar Beeblebrox.
Yep.
You mentioned fish, a translator fish,
Indeed.
last issue.
Yeah, and this guy is just straight up named after Zaphod Beeblebrox, my favorite guy. He's honestly my favorite character in the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy series.
He's great. Yeah,
He is great.
This is a fun reference. Also, I'd like to point out, I appreciate the effort that goes into the fleet of ships because they all have different designs.
Oh, I always appreciate that. I hate it when you see a fleet of ships and they're all the same fucking class.
Yeah.
That irks me so much. Another reason to hate the first season of Picard.
Okay. Well, and especially since this is meant to be a mercenary group, if you have a military, you're gonna see clusters at least of the same
Class, but like for a mercenary outfit, it definitely makes sense
Yeah, it's
for them
just
to all be
whatever.
different classes.
Yeah, and good details. But yes,
Like-
Bagbar Beeblebrox.
Yes. I like that Mr. Beeblebrox here has like red speech bubbles. They don't do this, but it makes me wish that you had like differently styled or colored speech bubbles for different speech patterns, because
That would be
instantly it
fun.
makes me think, oh, he's like talking. I mean, it makes me think he's got like a big booming voice.
Right. That would be fun.
Yeah, and it really fits with his design. And, well, basically he informs us that this planet that Sonic found destroyed, and all of the other ones that were destroyed, was because of Eve, all the way from years and years ago. Because, well, Sonic told her to stop following Robotnik's orders, and she flew off into space, so now we know where she ended up.
Yeah, she ends up in a different galaxy, becoming very powerful.
Yeah, so I said before, deep callback, and Ballers really did their research on this one too.
Yeah.
Because I enjoy any return, but some of them are like super arbitrary. Like, why Alan Cal, for instance, in that one issue. But
This one makes
this is
sense.
incredibly logical.
Oh,
like,
yeah, this one makes total sense.
Eve
Yeah.
flew off into space. They were very powerful before. So, sure, yeah, they're wreaking havoc. Perfect.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I mean, her whole thing was evolving, so when we learn that she's evolved into a Unicron Planet Eater, I feel like I've referenced the Unicron before, and it's really just because that's one of the only things I know about Transformers. But, yeah, no, it's perfectly logical. Maybe not so logical, although understandable from a writing perspective, is that when Sonic says, "Oh yeah, that's kind of my fault," they're like, "Well, you fucker, we're gonna kill you now."
I think this is perfectly reasonable because, I mean, these are a bunch of mercenaries.
It's reasonable enough.
And, Sonic, I could see Sonic just saying something. I mean, Sonic says things all the time. And, yeah, see, these guys are having a terrible time. So, like, any chance they have to lash out in some way,
They're going to take it.
they're going to take it. Yeah, so I think this makes total sense.
Yeah,
it makes
no, I think
total
that
sense
makes
as a
sense.
writing
Yeah.
decision. I'm just saying that they are being irrational.
Well, in this
yeah,
situation,
well.
I'm not surprised they'd be irrational.
No, I'm not saying it doesn't make sense at all. Yeah, but yeah, Sonic gets out of there real fast. surprising for Sonic, I know,
So yeah,
but as he's flying away, he's on the chase from them. It's weird that they recap the thing that just happened at the start of the second part.
that is a little weird.
Like
Maybe
maybe
this
they
story was
expect.
originally supposed to be in a different issue,
Yeah, if you said that the first story was like supposed to be the second half of one of the previous ones,
which would have
um,
been way better.
well, I don't know if it would have been better, but it would have made sense to recap it like that. That would be
Well,
so
yeah.
gross. Like
Well, no,
this.
better as in, getting rid of one of the weird, well, maybe not the spy versus spy story, but I don't know,
You can keep
shuffling
Spy
stuff
versus Spy.
around.
You shove that. You shift
Hmm.
Shove
that
that
to
into the
be
first
in
issue,
the first
and
one, and
then
then you
this,
axe
the
the
first
other.
story, yeah, you axe the Gabri story.
That being said, I'm actually okay with it being like because it definitely makes it feel complete.
It
Um,
does.
so Sonic does get closer to Eve, but not before we see that she does indeed devour planets. It's what is it called? Xenocanaris Prime.
Yes.
And there's big chin aliens there.
The big
Yeah.
chins are very funny.
So I mean, they were talking about how Eve has been wreaking havoc and stuff,
Right.
but it didn't really set in for me until I saw, yeah, just a big old mass of metal floating above the planet
Yeah.
that then tears it to little tiny pieces.
The
Yeah,
Unicron reference that was a good one, Devin.
Yeah,
this is as rad as it is horrifying.
this
Yeah, I
is
mean,
a
Planet
cosmic
Eaters
horror.
like this, Planet Eaters like this, yeah, they're cosmic horrors. They are terrifying. The idea of them is terrifying.
Well, it's like Sonic gets there too late to stop her, and then Bagbar's crew catches up with him, and they're like, "Ah, there he is! Oh, and there's Eve." And then they attack. They attack Eve, but then she just devours the entire fleet.
Sure, yeah,
I mean, yeah, of course.
unstoppable.
They're all dead.
I mean, Eve at this point, I think probably be described as like a machine god. So,
Axer's furry
This
kobold persona wife is dead.
Yeah, I didn't even realize that they had built this up a little bit too, which makes it even better. But yeah, they did them justice, and it's only gonna get better, by the way. But like at the end of issue 21 or whatever it was, Eve just I tried to kill Robotnik anyway. It was only a freak accident that they didn't. Like they were, yeah, their power was already crazy at that point. So it makes sense that after a while they would become something insane like this.
right.
It's a heck of a thing, and well, the spaceship fleet gets torn apart, but Sonic is actually able to pass inside safely.
Yes,
Now, why he decides he has to get out in a spacesuit instead of just flying the ship further, it still looks pretty spacious, but
probably the ship's been disabled.
Well, to
maybe.
me, this is starting to give me feelings of Star Trek: The Motion Picture now, because Eve's also reminding me a bit of V'ger, which
Oh,
I'm
yeah,
probably I don't know if I'm the only one who's seen the motion picture.
I've seen it.
Okay,
Yeah, I see what you're saying.
yeah, Eve's giving me vibes of V'ger now. Yeah, and that's what happens in the motion picture. So
Yeah. I will
Um,
say, Sonic's spacesuit on the cover looks a lot cooler than this one here. You should have kept
yeah,
the
this one's
red.
just like a skin tight blue and green suit. It's a little lame looking.
it's a little weird, but yeah, regardless of those points, I do like that we now have Sonic traversing the inside of a giant biomechanical monster. Like,
Yeah.
good job making creative settings again.
Yeah.
Yeah. And well, Eve starts talking to him from the inside, questioning him a little bit. And Sonic's like, "You're really Eve? What the hell happened?" Um,
Yeah.
and
So this is where I'm thinking that, well, Eve does recognize them.
yeah, I think she
For,
let him in, which is why he's not
yeah,
dead.
I think I think she let him in exactly.
I think so, yeah.
And then this next part happens, which is a little weird because Sonic's going around, and then "Hi Sally?" question mark,
That was, yeah.
which that can't be true.
Of
This ruse
course.
doesn't
Uh-huh.
last more than a page.
Of
Uh-huh.
course.
But she's here, and then it's like, oh, it's actually Eve trying to manipulate Sonic with a hologram.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and basically, she's just trying to get Sonic to. I don't know exactly what her goal is, to be honest. Um,
That is a good question.
because she's asking him to come with her through a wormhole that brought her here, which I'm not sure what exactly went on that, because, like, I thought she just flew here, but.
So I think that Eve could have just killed Sonic immediately. I think Eve remembers Sonic and doesn't want to kill them, and so is trying to make them leave. I thought that was obviously what was going on.
I guess, but it's like, how far are you gonna get with the Sally hologram? Whatever. Um,
I mean, they don't know Sonic all that well either. I'm trying to
yeah,
think about
fair
that.
enough. But either way, Sonic quickly realizes, okay, you're not actually Sally, you jerk. And well, she attacks him with the squid robots from the Matrix.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
They don't last long, and he spins out of there before finally reaching the center, where he sees that Eve has become a robot lady head on tentacles. Maybe that she has a body under there. Kind of hard to tell.
Uh,
It is hard to tell. I don't think she does. This
y-
reminds me of the Borg Queen.
yeah. I love this new design. It's
This design is cool.
it's different, but you can definitely see where they took from, the big old brain on pink tentacles.
Right.
It's still got lips too. Um, so it's you can see the similarities, but it's definitely evolved, if you will. So yeah, this is great.
I think they still should have given her like the cross-hatched eyes, but yeah.
Mm.
Perhaps, yeah.
But she explains to us that when she left Mobius and went out to travel the stars, organic life fucking hated her, and she was like, "Man, computers and robots have it hard out here, so I'm going to eat them and make them part of me."
The Great Liberator eating the ones she's liberating.
Well, and that's the thing is that Sonic's like, well, you're not really liberating them at all. You're just
Right.
you're just controlling them. And,
Yeah, he basically pulls well, Jim Kirk and outsmarts the computer.
well, and this is the thing is that this was what Sonic did before, where he said, "Oh, you don't have to listen
Uh-huh.
to Robotnik," and now he does it again. The problem with this one is that, I mean, I guess in both cases, it's Sonic pointing out the blatantly obvious, and that being what wins it for him. Um,
Right.
I guess I don't know. It's one of those like machines can learn, but they can never understand type stories. I don't know.
So for me, it is a little abrupt, but it's not entirely unbelievable. I mean, they explain that like they just no one would even talk to them. They would just be like and shoot him instantly.
Right.
But, like they
Yeah.
haven't even been able to interact with anyone. Eve just never got a chance to live life, and so like, yeah, I mean, just they just picked a goal that it thought made sense, and then it kept going. And then the machines that it surrounds itself with isn't going to say anything to the contrary. Everyone else is trying to destroy it. It's only now. I mean, yeah, it seems easy, but that's just because the only person that Eve would not destroy, because they know them and they were nice to them before, is the only one that would actually get a chance to even talk to them. So I
Mhm.
do not think this is unreasonable.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a tragedy, and I mean that's kind of I think the intent because I mean our ending here is that after Sonic saying that she's like, man, I fucked up. I better just kill myself. Um,
This, I didn't expect this ending.
yeah,
That yeah.
she flies into the sun and explodes. With Sonic just barely escaping, but he does seem to be a little melancholic afterward. Maybe it's because everybody else that he met that day died. Every character in this issue is dead
Mhm.
except Sonic.
That's true. I
That
never
is
even
true.
thought of that. Yeah, this is like I was aware that Eve returned later. Didn't realize it ended like this.
Yeah.
I theorized before in my head about what might be going on with this character, but to learn it was this. Oh, it's sad. It's very sad. No, I know most people don't really care that much, but like this was such a cool concept, and
Yeah, I
and the
mean,
end of the last issue ends on like a happy note, and then to have it go this way, it just hits me. I don't like
Yeah, I
it.
mean,
Like I like that I don't like it. To be fair,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. Like I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just wow.
it makes you
And I think
unhappy,
it's
and
very yeah.
I think it's because we liked that issue before, and you have a lot of nostalgia for it because you're the one who actually owned all of these books physically.
Right, and that was the first the first Sonic Archives book that I owned too, for that
Yeah.
matter. I think it's very telling too that whereas before Sonic was talking to them and like objecting, they choose not to object here to this thing. Like they let them destroy themselves, which seems a little uncharacteristic actually. And I think that's very telling. Like he's like, yeah, last time that I just let them go, it just made things worse. So he's
Yeah.
like, okay, I'll just let this happen, I
Take
guess.
responsibility.
Like he's not happy with it, but he'll let it happen.
Yeah, bit of a downer ending. But
Kinda, yeah.
Eve did give us one important piece of information before she left, which is the key to returning home to Mobius lies on the BEM homeworld, Argentium, also called the Wheel World, which we are going to be seeing here in Sonic the Hedgehog number 129. Prowers!
Yeah, why are we back here
Yeah.
with a normal well, normal with a
With the white
at this time
covers.
standard cover?
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
you know what?
it's a little
It's
weird.
white with a blue gradient cover.
So it's
Wow.
different.
And no bars. So but yes, Amadeus and Rosemary Prower on this cover. No clue what that means, but
Mhm.
I guess we'll have to see.
Mm.
Oh,
Tossed
yeah.
into Space concludes with the trial of the Bem. They chained her up. Unfortunately, we do not start with that. We start with a Phantom Menace reference.
Okay, yeah, that's totally what it is. I was like,
This
is
is-
this? And yes, it is.
It is. It's just pod racing on
This,
foot.
yeah, this is Space Gamble, Romy Chacon and Don Best, and yes,
I
with
like
his-
I like the art.
yeah, Don Best is a good artist, but it's
Yeah.
like, what? So with his ship damaged by Eve, Sonic competes in an alien race to get money for repairs. It's the Phantom Menace.
It is.
Yep, straight up. Which is a little disappointing because they were doing so good with these space stories, and then they just throw in this in the middle of here.
Yeah,
I mean,
this is
yeah.
well, it's like we've been in the mediocre zone for a while with these comics. We've had occasional
Right.
high moments, but mostly just like eh. And this is like what you would expect after all of those others that we read up to this point. Tossed in Space has been a
Mhm.
break with tradition. This is the tradition.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
We've even got a two-headed commentator. It's so Phantom Menace.
Yep.
Yeah.
And well, there's not a lot to say, to be honest, because the whole thing is
Not
over in
really.
like 4 pages.
It's
like,
just a race that Sonic wins on a technicality.
they
Right, yeah, he
race-
doesn't even win it.
Yeah,
Yeah, he
race.
doesn't even technically win.
Sonic loses, but then it turns out that the guy in front of him cheated, and so that means he wins.
Yeah, it's not it's not how you do it. You don't just have the hero win by accident.
I mean, that's what these comics do. A lot is just
Yeah.
Sonic wins because he's the main character.
Yeah, and that bugs me.
Oh yeah, no, it's dumb.
Yeah. So good for you, Sonic. I don't
Good
know.
job, Sonic.
Right.
Woo.
At least it didn't take up that much time, but
Yeah.
well, our second
Yeah.
story, I wouldn't. It's another case of if it. I wouldn't say the second story is rushed or anything, but it's like we could see more pages of that. Anyway,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
second story here. Let's look at it. Welcome to the Wheel World, written by Carl Ballers, Benny Lee, and drawn by Art Mawhinney. Sonic arrives at the BEM homeworld Argentium. He's hoping to find a way back to Mobius, but instead discovers truths and friends he never could have expected.
I like this little bit of insight into the way like them just think when Sonic rolls up and the BEM is like, state your reason for visiting, and he's like, a reason? And they're like, yeah, it means why are you
Yeah.
here?
Yeah, I'm
like
gonna give
they
you a
think it needs
definition
to
of
be
the word
clarified. Like
reason.
they took it seriously.
Oh yeah, the BEM are hyper literal about things. And
Right.
I like also that they're like, yeah, you're not allowed to be here unless you're attending the trial, in which case you're definitely allowed. Which means that like all Sonic has to do is lie.
Yeah, pretty much.
But yeah, the whole planet is this big donut. It's Halo, but
I'll admit this is
Mm.
not what I thought when I was thinking Wheel World. I was thinking like an actual Ring World.
yeah, I wish it was more Halo, but that don't worry about it. It's fine. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, the whole planet is busy with courtroom proceedings for Seneca 9009. And well, Sonic's free to watch, and he needs to be here. So and all sorts of wacky Star Wars creatures are here coming to the courtroom.
These are Star Wars creatures. God damn.
Uh-huh.
So Seneca 9009 is on trial, and I guess every BEM is named Seneca dash a number.
Yeah,
I don't
that's a
know
weird
why,
one.
but okay.
Yeah, but let's see, how do I word this?
Yeah, buckle up. This is going to be a wild court
This
case.
this is fucking wild.
Yeah,
This is a big lore dump.
She's charged with criminal disobedience against Argentium High Command, which doesn't tell you what she did yet.
Right.
Instead, we get a whole ass lore dump, which is that years ago, the BEM serving under 9009 discovered a planet full of robotic citizens. And it's like, wow, that's odd. And so they're like, well, we should. I guess we just want these guys to be organic.
Yeah, so here's the thing. It
Yeah.
took me reading through all of this and then going back and thinking about it, and it made me realize Seneca 9009 is not a good person. Like,
Yeah, Seneca 9009 just decided, yeah, we're just gonna de-roboticize you.
despite the fact that they're technically helping some of the heroes, they're
Right.
really just like anti-Robotnik. They
Yeah.
hate robots, and they want to
Right.
turn every robot into a living being. There's no reason to do this. He should have seen it coming. Like, the fact that this turns out disastrous is, yeah,
It should
no
have been kind
surprise
of
there.
obvious.
Yeah, I mean, it's like you saw this planet of robot people, and you just decided, well, I want them to be organic, and then they do it, and then a bunch of them die because their atmosphere is toxic, which is why they replace themselves with machines.
Right.
Exactly.
Which is very funny because that's like a reverse Cyberman thing, where like the Cybermen in Doctor Who did it for the exact same reason, but it was presented as scary.
Right.
But
Yeah.
yeah, so it's like you did that, and it's like, yeah, you must feel a massive amount of regret for that. Mostly she just gets more motivation though, because then she witnesses the roboticization of Amadeus Prower and decides, oh, I'll capture him and reverse that effect. And then she gets thrown in jail for that because, again, you're not getting clearance to do any of this shit.
Well, not just that, de-roboticization had been banned.
Yeah, it's a crime at this point because it
Right.
led to a bunch of people dying.
Right.
Uh-huh.
And so
Once
she's already-
again, just adds to my thought that they just hate robots. They're just
It
anti-robot.
does come off as they're just anti-robot or robot being.
Well, so it's like, yes, but at this point, I would almost think of it as a little bit of tone because she realizes that Robotnik is roboticizing people without their consent, and it makes things
Mhm.
worse for them. But
Sure, if it was with consent, they still had their sentience.
But the issue
It might
is
be a
that
different thing.
the issue is that the way that they've told this story makes it not look like that, which I think is what contributes to Lauren's thing.
No, yeah, I get that, and for the most part, I think I agree.
Also, I guess they kidnapped Rosemary with him just because.
That's a good
She
point.
might-
I'm not sure.
Maybe she was about to be roboticized. I don't know.
They don't
That's
say-
what I was thinking.
He's got to keep the couple together, I guess.
Yeah, they don't want to split up Tails' parents.
Yeah, but she got thrown in jail for that because deroticization is banned, and Sonic's like, no, what are you talking about? You can't do that. Which
Very Sonic moment.
Of course.
oh yeah, Sonic would be one to not respect this rule at all.
Of
and
course.
also to shout at people in a courtroom.
Well, because
Exactly.
Sonic has directly been affected by roboticization.
Yeah. But what it actually means is that, yeah, Amadeus and Rosemary are here. They've been living up here for over a decade.
Well, I mean, and of course they'd be at the court proceedings because 9009 was the one that effectively saved them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so they get a neat little reunion with Sonic. Not that we've really established Sonic has much of a relationship to these people so much as their son, but
We saw enough of it to know like that they would know who Sonic is and know that I mean, pretty much right off the bat, Tails and Sonic had some sort of connection.
Yeah. But we do get, part of our mystery from last week solved because we were so, it was kind of confusing how we had the BEM experiment 2 weeks ago where they pitted Sonic versus Robotnik and, roboticize one, de-roboticize the other. And that's supposed to tell us, whether mechanical life or organic life is better. And, well, the thing is that Sonic and Tails won that fight, so logically that should tell them that robots are better. And we're like, well, they ended up de-roboticizing everybody anyway. So why did that happen? It's because Seneca 9009 went over everybody's heads again.
What a surprise.
Yeah, at this point, no one should be surprised.
Which is what she's on trial for now.
Right.
And, in this case, that was doing what's right, but it is kind of funny in retrospect with all of this that's happened.
See, I maybe it's just because I don't like the fact that they're retroactively saying, oh yeah, the BEM have been mucking about in Mobian history for a while now. But I just instantly want to paint them all as villains, especially since, okay, I don't understand it. How the heck can you have a bit where the BEM just casually throw in, oh yeah, we ordered that your entire planet get roboticized, and Sonic doesn't instantly like put them on #1 threat list. Like, instead, he just, like, protests about it, and then he's like, oh, okay, whatever. I better get home. Like, no. If these guys are, like, gonna do that, you cannot ignore them anymore.
Right.
Like, they were so casual about it, too.
They become just as much of a threat as the Zorda.
You're saying, like, Sonic should have taken that as an opportunity to just jump up and kick him in the face, yeah?
Sure.
That would have been a more warranted reaction to that.
Well, and you're right about that, because Sonic is very passive here, because like Sonic and the Prowlers, they do vouch for 9009, but the BEM Council decides no, she has to die anyway. And well, we are going to hatch a plan, but mostly Sonic and the others just walk out of there looking solemn, which I don't feel is what would happen. I think that the moment they made that ruling, Sonic would run up there and grab her, probably.
Yeah, probably.
So yeah, maybe not fully in character for Sonic. But it's time to hatch a plan, except we can't just take her and run away, because a bunch of looters took apart Sonic's chip. And it's also funny because, I say looters, one of them is a BEM, another is some random alien, but he says, no ships allowed between here and Mobius, not since the Zorda declared war on that mud speck. So as a direct result of everything that happened, Sonic is now trapped here.
The Zorda declared war, but they got fought off.
Would the Zorda really say that, though?
I guess the Zorda would.
No, they're bastards.
That, but the BEM would. I'd be surprised if the BEM didn't know that.
So this is the pretty clumsy, in my opinion, explanation as to why the BEM aren't going to muck about anymore. I'll believe it when I see it. Because, yeah, they're just, like, afraid of the Zorda, which, I mean, true, but, yeah, they should figure it out eventually.
Yeah, so Sonic and the Prowlers are stranded here, but they're not stranded here because it turns out that one of the judges is like, well, or what is it? Head Magistrate Seneca 100,050 disagrees with the judgment, and so she's gonna help him escape. I don't know.
If they're the head magistrate, why can't they do something about this?
Yeah, I don't know why they didn't just rule differently, because they didn't sound like they were on that side. I don't know.
No.
There might be some conspiracy going on with the BEM.
Oh my god.
I'm going to be honest, their society seems pretty weird.
Their society is
very
weird.
Yeah. But either way, all of them hatch a plan. Sonic's going to break 9009 out of prison. And hey, we have an escape pod here. Or rather, an outmoded cruiser, they say. But it only has enough room for one person, supposedly. It doesn't really look like that when we see inside it.
No, it's pretty big.
Basically, they make it look like they're gonna send 9009 on that escape pod, because we don't see who's in there, as they shoot at it with missiles, and it just barely makes it to the warp gate. But then they show that she's still on Argentium, which means that it's actually Sonic in there.
Yep, and Sonic gets to take the convenient warp back to Mobius. I can't believe that the BEM are still just serving as an easy plot solution.
I mean, yeah. That's fair.
If you're lost a galaxy over, I would even...
They chose to do that, remember? The writers didn't have to write it that way.
I mean,
fair enough.
and maybe the BEM will come back again and be better yet. But like this is, I'm not entirely disappointed because there's interesting stuff to talk about here at least.
Right.
But so like they're better now that they've been expanded upon, but I still don't really like the BEM's role in the story. They still just do stuff, and no one can stop them. No one tries to stop them.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's they're agents of the plot, and that's it. I still don't I don't understand how it's the Zorda is the explanation as to why Sonic can just forget about them. But logic, there has to be some resolution to this. Like the society, the head magistrate secretly helps them out. Like you can't just.
I mean, that
forget
doesn't
about
just
those dudes.
happen.
To me, logically, they're treated like a force of nature almost, but they're not a force of nature,
No, they're people.
and they should be dealt with. It's my point, but they just kind of don't. They're just there.
That's a fair point.
That is fair, yeah.
I agree with you broadly that I think they're there's a lot of contrivance with these aliens, definitely.
Yeah, that is fair.
But, you know, that's the way the chili dog crumbles. That is a terrible turn of phrase.
Sure.
Also, I we say, oh, there has to be more than room for one person in there, but Sonic doesn't take the powers with him. They can't come.
I was really hoping they would.
We're gonna have to come back for them quite a bit later.
It's so weird. Why would you bring them back and not bring them back?
Yeah, I mean, like, Sonic's going back to Mobius. That would be the perfect time for the writers to be like, yeah, let's bring the powers back also.
Yeah, I guess it's up to Ian.
Apparently so.
I feel like that's going to become more and more what we're going to end up saying.
Not be
But
surprised.
Hey, we did it. Tossed in Space is over, and I would say broadly, I still like the arc. I still think it's a cool thing.
I think broadly it is a pretty good arc.
Oh yeah, I agree. Yeah, I mean the resolution is a bit insane, but the rest of it is great.
Yeah, there's nothing here that makes me angry.
No, I don't get super worked up about anything here. That's true.
Compared to Baller's usual output, which ranges from that might be neat to kind of bad, which is not to gas up Penders, I might add, but compared to his usual output, I would say it's above average for Ballers.
Yeah,
Probably.
Anywho, so we are heading home to Mobius, and I don't know if you can see on the title card at the end of the last issue here, it says, "So long, Sonic fans. What a strange trip it's been, Benny Lee." So Ballers is dropping that pseudonym.
That's
Once again, I don't. This is very weird. This is strange.
I mean, the idea of the pseudonym already was like, what's the point?
Well, but also saying a tearful goodbye. It's not like any of the other writers got that. You didn't give that to Angelo De Cesare. Didn't give that to. Well, we thought Penders was leaving, but
Yeah.
I wish he was leaving.
But hey, there's no Penders even here in Sonic 130.
Bro, and maybe that's why I really like it.
Yeah, look at this. Look at this melancholy ass cover. I remember seeing this on the Sonic Central website, like that I've talked about a couple times years ago, and thinking, what is going on in this comic? Why is Sally crying? Why does Sonic look so dejected? And why does it say Sonic is back from outer space? What happens to these comics?
Yeah. And I think that's warranted in this instance. Often
It really is.
Often it's just like, oh yeah, there's some contrived reason that they got in this situation. But no, this actually, yeah, I can see the through line here.
Yeah, and this is the first part of the home arc. Another 4-issue arc. And we're starting off here with The Blue Blur Returns, written by Ballers, drawn by Axer and Butler. Sonic returns to Mobius, only to find the situation vastly different from how he left it. Allegiances have changed, territory's been claimed, and even his friends and family are different.
Yeah.
Yeah, we crash land in the middle of a forest.
Sure, yeah.
Well, it's like Sonic crash lands, he kisses the dirt because he's so happy to be back on Earth.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, oh shit, I already have stuff to deal with because he sees smoke in the trees.
Yeah.
Never a second's rest.
Fitting.
Or hedgehog. God.
But hey, we get introduced to a shotgun wedding.
A literal shotgun wedding.
Yeah, it is Hershey and Jeffrey with new outfits being married at gunpoint before they die. Kind
Yep.
of we had a very rushed into marriage last time, and this seems to be the same thing. Kind of speed ran that relationship.
Yeah.
This is a very Archie Eggman thing, though, to do.
It's like, yeah, sure, you guys can get married.
This is a special brand of cruel right here. I like this. Also, I love that we're in the middle, as we will see, of like a full-on Eggman operation. This isn't just a one-off weird thing here, but we're jumping right into it here, and I love it.
Right. Yeah, we're jumping right into a very different world suddenly.
Yeah, it's a bad situation is the long and short of it. Eggman has been wreaking havoc. This whole village is burning, for one thing. I love that, he's letting Hershey and Jeffrey get married before he kills them, but he makes sure to say, like, wow, you make me want to barf the whole time. But he also talks to Adam, which is some sort of system that is controlling the robots, which I don't know if we get much exposition on in this issue.
Oh no, we don't get much of anything, but
yeah, we don't.
I don't think it takes much thought to realize 2 issues after Eve. Wait a second.
That is interesting. That is. I didn't actually put that together. That is interesting.
Yeah, he's got a new AI buddy.
Right.
I like this. This should be interesting.
Yeah. So Eggman, of course, orders Adam to kill them, but someone has something to say about that. It's Sonic. Sonic's the someone.
Obviously.
Right. Obviously, yeah.
He busts the bots, and then more of them attack him, and we get these really cool shots of them being destroyed, but you can't even see Sonic because he's that fast and cool.
Hell yeah. I like when they do this. It's just see robots just falling apart.
Yeah.
And no
as their weapons are firing also. Yeah.
Just Butler's a good artist. I like seeing him draw robot destruction.
Yeah.
Good.
I appreciate we've been mostly also tonight gotten the good artists.
Yeah, pretty much. We got
one Runlin story, which was
and even then he was
unfortunate.
mostly just drawing aliens, and he can draw aliens just fine.
Yeah, no, it's just the Sonic characters he can't draw.
But yes, Sonic saves everybody, and Jeffrey explains. They're happy to see Sonic, but Jeffrey explains that as soon as the Zorda went down, Eggman went right back to planetary warfare with the Acorns, and
which, like, what the fuck did they expect?
Oh yeah, no.
I'm sure they expected it.
Yeah, I guess I don't know. That's such a weird one to me.
Yeah, but again, the situation is bad. Jeffrey and Hershey were on their way back to Knothole to warn them about the fact that Eggman has nukes again.
It was only a matter of time.
Yeah,
are the big threat in these comics.
I mean, I'm not surprised.
It's a realistic threat.
Yeah, they're a big threat in real life. Don't get me wrong.
Nukes are a big threat. Period.
Exactly. But I knew it would happen eventually, and especially when Station Square used them first. I was like, okay, now it's certain.
Eggman. And Eggman's basically been given carte blanche to get his own nukes again.
Exactly. Of course, this Eggman would eventually be like, all right, enough messing around. Right. Time to use old reliable.
Yep, old reliable WMDs.
Well, especially since the Zorda destroyed the mountain, so Station Square is totally exposed.
That's
right.
True.
It's not protected anymore.
So, it's time to head in. We get to see how what Eggman has done with Megapolis after all this time. He's expanded it into his new cyber city.
Yep.
We get a little bit of exposition on Adam being an AI that controls the SWAT bots, basically. We also get introduced to M, also known as Mecha Robotnik.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Well, okay, thanks for spoiling that.
Yeah.
What, does not call her Mecha?
No, he doesn't.
No.
He just calls her M.
Oh, okay. It's not a big deal. That's just her name.
Right.
Well, but you said Mecha Robotnik.
Well, I say that as in she's his robot daughter, but she's not, literally his daughter.
Right.
Okay, that's what's going on here. See, I was just confused at this. Maybe I'm just not.
She calls him father, so I don't know.
Yes,
yeah,
I
knew
him
that. Father
so does Adam, but
true.
when they have like the full title, as if like, oh yeah, no, full on. That communicates to me that it's not just a personality quirk, but like they're playing it serious.
My
Because
bad.
when I looked at this, I was like, well, first of all, I wasn't actually even sure they were a robot, although I thought they probably were.
I figured they were
Um,
probably a robot.
But yeah, I don't know. I thought it might have just been a shtick. Either way, okay, mysterious character, slightly less mysterious, but yeah, there's not much that was done with them this issue.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she's her. She doesn't have anything to do in this issue. She dresses like an '80s action movie.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But Eggman is, of course, very, very upset to learn that Sonic is back. He was so happy before that he deleted all of the database files on him.
This is perfect.
He's like having a panic attack that Sonic is back.
Yeah, I like that Eggman would just want to just wipe the slate clean
Right.
after he thought Sonic was dead and just completely
Right.
delete the files. And yeah, and then after all that, to have him come back, yeah, an understandable reaction.
Yeah,
Well,
I guess, yeah.
And it's not like it's a real loss because he knows who he is, but
Right.
yeah, it means that basically it's just an excuse to him have to re-explain it to M. But
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Sonic, of course, run back to that hole, but is caught off guard because it's real different.
Yeah,
Mhm.
we have like Cyber City in the trees now.
It's like
Yeah.
solar punk almost, yeah.
It is solar punk, which is cool. You don't see a lot of solar punk art very often.
And hey, it's got a canopy of trees now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they fixed it.
Yeah.
Although, I mean, it does kind of make sense that they would actually kind of hunker down a little bit again.
Sure.
Well, yeah, it's official wartime.
It's actual wartime now.
It was more like it was more squabbles before, other than I guess
Right.
the caterpillar thing, maybe.
That was like leading into this, and then we could see that he really ramped up after that.
But how did this happen? You're wondering. It's super different. How could this have
Mhm.
gone on so quickly? And Sonic asks this random kid, what day is today? Wednesday. Well, I can't believe it's been no, I'm kidding. How long has it been since we beat the Zorda, though? The Zorda attack happened 1 year ago.
Which,
How
I
does
do
that
have
work?
to question how that works.
Well, so first of all, like I don't really care for an explanation, but
it's
second
not
of all, it's not
No.
even that unreasonable because
No,
he
I
did
guess-
literally traverse
guess-
across super long distances.
Well, so
we don't
I guess
know
some
how.
of it was if some of it was at speed of light, then that does make sense.
Like you could
Or close to
assume
the speed of
that
light.
whatever beam shot off Sonic, maybe he was just out of it for a while. Maybe
Yeah, I
when
mean,
he
went
landed
through a warp
on
gate, so.
that other planet, or who knows how the warp gate works for that matter.
True.
Like
Yeah.
it might not be instantaneous travel,
it-
even if
it
it is
could-
to him.
It could be some combination of various things that caused it to be a year, and he just didn't know. And for
Yeah.
him, it wasn't a year.
No, for
Mhm.
Sonic, it's been like, I don't know, like 2 weeks or something like that.
Right.
But yes, Mobius has gone through a major time skip, which means that a lot of things are going to be different.
Right.
Um,
Heck yeah.
Case in point, Sonic heads toward the castle. Everybody goes through a "I thought you were dead" moment, but
Right.
Sonic,
Which makes sense.
he walks in on a meeting between Max and Knuckles, where we learn that Eggman is in control of Angel Island.
Which I'm really surprised that Eggman could manage that.
Let me think about this.
I
what
feel like-
state was
Well,
he
I guess
from?
did
Most recent.
Eggman never really tried to make any big incursions on Angel Island that they've mentioned that I can think of.
Well, so he did it a couple times before Echidnaopolis was back, and then
Sure.
at the start of the adventure arc, he did wreck things up in Echidnaopolis, but that was just him trying to get
That's
the Master
true.
World.
Right.
Yeah,
Um,
we've never really seen this Eggman try it, and I could see him.
I could see him try it.
And the reason for that is that Penders had that island under lockdown the whole time, but since he doesn't now, we
True.
can finally do things with it, which is why
True.
all of the Chaotix are here in Knothole. Has Julie Sue ever been to Knothole? I don't know. I don't
I
think
don't
so.
think so.
I don't think so. But yes, I was going to say this instantly brought a smile to my face.
Oh,
Knuckles
yeah.
showing up in the middle of the Sonic comics without a stupid amount of build-up.
No,
Like
he's just
we
already
can do
there.
that now, finally.
Yeah, he was just already there. The Knuckles stories are no longer effectively separate from the Sonic stories, because that's been the
Exactly.
biggest problem for me. Is we occasionally have crossovers, like in when they were in Mercia, but other than that, the Knuckles and Sonic stories could very well have been their completely own comic runs, like
Yeah,
had no relation to each
even when
other.
they're stuffed together in the same issue, like
Yeah,
they very much were
they had no
separate.
connection to each other. Now suddenly, the Chaotix seem like they're effectively refugees in Knothole.
Yeah. Well, and
Mhm.
look how different Knuckles is, because he's got sort of a Knuckles personality, which is that
Yeah,
he's angry at the king because he wants to go punch it on Angel Island, but the king
yeah,
thinks it's too reckless.
which is exactly how Knuckles would be acting.
Real Knuckles, not Pender's
Yes,
Knuckles.
yes,
Yeah, no,
yes,
yeah,
yeah.
not
Right
Pendy's
off the bat,
Knuckles, actual Knuckles.
his personality is restored.
Yeah.
Thank
And
God.
he and Sonic get this great moment too, where Sonic's like, "Hey, I thought you were dead." And Knuckles was like, "I thought you were dead."
Yeah, I also thought you were dead.
Yeah, this interaction is
This is
just
actually how
it's a
they would
joy.
interact.
Because like I understand that when they first met, yeah, the personalities clashed a little bit, but
Sure.
eventually these two should get along. And
Exactly.
so yes,
And they
this is the
hadn't really
dynamic.
gotten along yet.
Like they're just teasing each other.
Yeah, they're just being bros at this point.
Yeah, this is the kind of, bring stuff from the games that I really want, which is to see the
Yeah.
characters being good characters.
Exactly.
So yeah, Sonic does deliver the message. Also, King Max can walk again. I don't remember
Yeah,
how,
which
how
is
they fixed that.
I am curious
Just
how that ends up
time
being.
passed.
He willed it into he willed himself to be able to walk again.
It might have something to do with the nanites that infected Jeffrey and Hershey, because nanites are a thing that'll be important later on, but
Okay. Also, nanomachines.
it's fucking Metal Gear Solid. Because we're dealing with nukes again. Anyway,
That's true. We are dealing
Uh-oh.
with nukes.
I think it's just that, like, the people who made the movies that Kojima was ripping off and the writers of these comics both grew up in the Cold War, so
No, this is more just like Cold War inspired, and like the tech that a lot of people were expecting to come around from the Cold War.
yeah. So Sonic delivers the message, continues getting reunions. We get to see Chuck. He's got a vest now.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah, vests.
Yeah, sure. Hell yeah, vests.
But before we go out to actually set out on this mission, Sonic has to see Sally. She has been completely messed up for the entire last year.
Jesus Christ, Sally cannot just be happy.
This made me angry for a second. They don't actually dwell on it. I hope.
No,
At least it doesn't become a problem later. But yeah, initially I was like, wow, you're telling me that the writers suddenly made Sonic and Sally all lovey-dovey again just to kill Sonic and make Sally miserable.
Yeah, we're just gonna make Sally more miserable.
Well, Sonic does show up to his grave, and they do a make out, whatever.
Eh.
She's happy to have him back, but it's going to be, we've had this going on for a whole year. Sally was not in great shape before that. This is one more drop in the trauma bucket, which we're going to see overflow next week. For right now, though, for this home arc right now, it's not that big a deal. They have a reunion.
No, it's fine.
It's kind of a reprise of the shot from Endgame where they kiss, I guess.
Yeah, I guess, yeah.
Yeah.
And, well, Knothole is a big enough city now that they've got paparazzi to worry about.
Of course.
Which I guess is a neat detail, and it's kind of gross, but,
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Sally's like, I knew you'd come back to me, Sonic. No, you didn't.
Damn, alright.
What? 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 Huh? I totally think Sally would believe that.
No, Sally would totally
No,
believe that
I just
Sonic
mean that
would
that's
eventually
like,
come back.
grief and confirmation bias, because,
Well, yes, of
if we
course.
had at any point flashback to Knothole while Sonic was in space, she would have been in this same scenario, and somebody would have been like, Sally, you gotta move on. She's like, no, he's out there somewhere, I know it. And that would be one of those, like, it's kind of futile to reason with them, because, like, by all accounts, in real life, she would be very wrong. But this story is in real life, so.
Exactly.
Right, I understand that's what it is, but that does still mean that what she's saying is true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so they head back. We get to see the rest of the Freedom Fighters and Sonic's parents.
I like Jules' hat.
I like the hat. I don't like that they've forgotten to color his face, so it just looks like he has his white lips on.
He's dressed like Tom Baker.
A little bit. He's got a scarf.
Oh my gosh, you're right. Did not expect that reference from you, Bruce. I'm proud of you.
I mean, I've been watching it, so I
This is
can
what
watch
you
it.
have.
Fourth time.
Nice. You're joining us.
Yeah, so Jules has a hat and scarf. Rotor has glasses and a coat now.
Antoine or Rotor looks a lot older.
A little bit, yeah. I don't remember if it's
and-
this issue or the next where he says that he's not on active duty. He's more mission control now.
That does, and that makes more sense for his character anyway.
Yeah.
And Antoine's over here with this gnarly ass scar.
He's got a
heck
scar
yeah.
and is completely stoic. No goofy expressions or gags.
I prefer that. He looks a lot cooler now.
Yeah, I approve of the Antoine intrigue. Like you don't get anything here.
Yeah,
They're
I
just
want to know
teasing.
what's going
Like
on
this
with
whole
Antoine
issue
now.
But instantly, yes, my interest is piqued because
Hell yeah.
knowing Antoine, he must have done something crazy.
Something
like, to
crazy
change
happened
like
to
this.
him, and he's a completely different person now.
Yeah,
I really want to know.
I want to talk about Antoine's plot line after this issue so bad. Because
Well, we'll get
is
to it, Devin. Jesus.
fucking crazy, but I can't talk about it now. In fact, even
We'll
if I
get
talked
to it.
about it now, I would be wrong. But
Oh, okay.
I won't tell you what that means.
All right.
But yes, everybody's here. Bunny's got a hat too, actually.
Yeah, Bunny does.
Did she have the jacket before? I feel like I saw.
I think
No,
she had the jacket.
She had like a purple jacket, and now it's a brown one.
Right, now she's just got a regular like leather jacket.
Anyway, so yeah, everybody's got redesigns. Is the point?
cool. I
Except
like it.
Tails, obviously.
I do like the redesign and Amy.
Yeah.
But the three redesigns, they all look good, and it definitely gives you a sense of time has actually passed.
Yeah. I guess Sally technically got redesigned too, because her hair is super long now.
I kind of like that. That looks pretty good.
But also, Castle Acorn has way more advanced communications now with the Technolotree.
Sure, why not?
Why not? Yeah.
Sure, yeah.
At this
whatever.
point, why the fuck not?
Yeah, and yeah. So remember that issue where Station Square's defense systems automatically nuke Robotropolis and almost kill everyone?
Right.
Uh-huh.
Well, now Gunn is doing that on purpose with New Megapolis.
I would like to point out they refer to Gun as a corporate military.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I thought Gun was an actual like military.
Well, so up to this point in the comics, they have been the military part of Station Square, and in
Right.
the games, Gunn is absolutely the military of the United Federation.
Right.
But now they're treating them sort of like a PMC, I guess.
Yeah, which is weird, but I guess that can make sense.
Yeah, there's no reason they couldn't still be the de facto armed force.
Yeah,
and
they're just
also
a
be
PMC
hired.
that's being
Yeah.
paid.
Well, and given that it would essentially allow them to appear in a whole bunch of places, basically wherever they felt like, I would
Sure.
actually like that to be true in the games as well. I don't want to
And
stick
that, you
them in
know,
America only.
well, you know what? That does make sense. Actually, making them a PMC because they can still work for Station Square primarily, but they also get the option to work for anyone else who wants to pay them.
Mhm.
Yeah. So Station Square sucks. They just don't care about Knothole being destroyed in the fallout.
Yeah.
So that's
Uh-huh,
a terrible
yep.
idea. But obviously that's on purpose because Eggman intercepts that transmission to show he means business. Because
Right.
whether it comes from him or Station Square, he wants that bubble around Robotropolis to burst and for the bombs to drop near Knothole.
Jesus.
Eggman has obviously pulled it together after his initial freakout.
Yeah.
And now he gets to bring my Eggman quote of the week. I'm plain thrilled to see you alive and kicking, Sonic. Can't wait to see you dead and buried.
Love him. Love this man.
That is a
Terrible.
great
I love
line.
Yep. So that's our setup for this arc. It's all to be continued, but you know what? It's a good cliffhanger because
Mm-hmm.
in fiction, can you really ask for a better cliffhanger than the nukes are coming and you can't stop them? That sounds pretty good to me.
That is a pretty good one.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I mean, largely, yeah. There's there's a lot of moving parts here,
Yeah.
and it could go a lot of different ways.
I'm
And I
excited to
feel
see
like,
where it goes.
see, with so many different plot threads set up, normally I'm like, oh, this could go disappointingly, and I mean, it could overall, but because there's so many different little elements, I feel like they couldn't possibly screw them all up. So I'm sure we'll get good stuff.
Yeah.
Yep. But that is going to be next time, because next time in Deep Dive Zone we're doing the other 3 issues and I guess the epilogue of the home arc. And, well, we have something way worse next time as well. Worse than nukes, radiation, or Unicron is Ken Penders reaching his final form.
Oh no.
God.
But for right now, we're done. We did our Penders free episode, the first one that we've had since I guess our second comic episode, because Ken Penders was there at number 11.
Ooh,
Mhm.
boy.
But yeah, good issues today. It was a fun one.
Yeah, overall, good issues, I think.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah,
I
no,
mean-
this is fantastic. Yeah, like I mean, I don't know percentage of stories like wise compared to other things, like, but yeah, no, I'm like no major complaints,
Yeah.
and a lot of stuff is actually really good.
Yeah, and this is sort of the, these 30 issues are the last leg of the pre-Flynn journey, which means that it is going to have some of my favorite things ever and some of the absolute fucking pits. These are some of the best and the most controversial issues in the series.
Interesting. Okay.
Awesome.
Yeah, and
I
I'm
mean,
excited
when
for
they're
next time.
controversial, they're definitely interesting.
I'm excited for next time. Home is an interesting arc. We're gonna have a legendary comic in there as well. Not legendary for being liked, but
Mm.
that's all next time. For right now, we're done. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please feel free to share, like, comment, and subscribe. And if you want to reach us anywhere, we've got a whole bunch of links in the link tree in the description. And with all that said, I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. We'll see you next Sunday for another exciting episode. Have a great night, and take care.